Hello again. In the first video, we started to think about the capabilities of our sound imagination. We realised that we could sing songs inside our head and speed them up, which is called changing the tempo, and that we could imagine different kinds of sound in our head and change the quality of those sounds, which is called the timbre of sounds. Today, you're going to imagine that you've got super hearing. The first thing we're going to do with your super hearing is let it take you across the world. It's so strong, your hearing, that you can hear a busy city in another country across the world. You can probably imagine the scene already with the traffic and the people and the shops. So I'm going to ask you to shut your eyes and then really focus your super hearing on the sounds of that busy city. Are you ready? Off we go. So imagine what you can hear. What else is there? Okay, if you're ready, you can open your eyes. Maybe you could hear, with your super hearing, things that I forgot to mention. Maybe you could hear sirens, people shouting. Was there squealing of tyres? Was there trains going by? If you'd like to do that exercise again, you can always pause the video now and have another listen with your superpower hearing at that busy city across the world. Or we can move to the next exercise, which is a much quieter one to begin with. Your superpower hearing is now going to take you across the world to the continent of Africa and the beautiful country of Kenya. If you shut your eyes, in this lovely land, it's full of grass, long brown and yellow grass, not like the short green grass we have in England gardens. It's a wide open landscape. There are animals everywhere, and we start to focus in on that long grass and the wind or the breeze making that grass rustle. But your hearing's even more powerful than that. You can hear a tiny mouse in the grass. Focus in on that mouse in the long grass. Can you hear it chewing? It's chewing the seeds at the top of the grass. And then focus your ears, your super hearing, even more closely into that grass. Can you hear that there's an insect? What's the insect doing? Can you hear the wings of the insect beating? Can you even hear its little legs on the grass? Now that is some super hearing if you could hear that. Wait, your super hearing can hear something else. If you turn your head slightly and let your ears focus in on a lion a little way away. It's lying in the grass. It's watching and waiting for something. I don't know what yet. Focus in on that lion with your ears. Can you hear it breathing? What's it waiting for? And now, just to the other side of you, you can hear the heavy, thudding footsteps of an elephant walking nearby. Each step of each heavy foot thudding on the ground. Focus in on that sound as it strikes the dry earth and crunches the dry grass. Now, your superhero hearing isn't just really strong, it's also got a little bit of magic in it, because your super hearing can change the sounds it hears. So this elephant, this big, strong animal, it starts to open its mouth and make its sound, but what your super hearing does, it changes the sound, and what comes out is the squeak of a mouse. Imagine the elephant squeaking like a mouse. It makes the lion lying in the grass jump, and the lion starts to roar, but instead of a roar, the lion moos like a cow. and that startles the mouse that was in the long grass. And the mouse opens its mouth, but instead of a squeak, what comes out is the bark of a dog. And the tiny fly is frightened by the bark of the dog as it flies away suddenly, but instead of making a little buzzing noise, it meows like a cat. Your super hearing is very clever and slightly weird. Let's pull it back and come back to where you live now. You know, in your real life, you could do that sort of thing with your imagination and people's voices. You could hear them speaking in one way, and you can imagine with your superpower hearing altering their voice so they seem to speak inside your head in a different way. Or you can look at a dog on the street and instead of hearing it bark, you can imagine that you're hearing it like a cat's voice or something. At the end of the last video, we tried to sing Happy Birthday inside our heads and add the sound of the triangle at the same time. So we were making two sounds in our imagination at the same time. And I'd like to try something like that again, but a little bit differently. This time, we're going to set up a rhythm inside our heads first of all. That rhythm could be on a big bass drum, or it could be someone clapping, or it could be with a shaker. You just imagine the sound, any sound you like that's creating a rhythm, and set up a rhythm inside your head, okay? Probably best to shut your eyes again so you can concentrate on it. Here we go. So you can set up a little pattern, a little beat inside your head. Okay, keep thinking of that. I've got one in my head, but I bet yours is very different. That's the best thing about imagination. Everyone is different. So you've got this beat, this rhythm going on inside your head. And now I want you to imagine that you can also hear a note over the top of this rhythm. It's a long held note. It could be played on a flute or a violin or a guitar or a piano. You could imagine yourself singing the note. So let's try that. The rhythm is underneath. Set up that rhythm again. Keep it going. And now you're imagining a note over the top of that rhythm. Can you hear them both at the same time? And if you've got that in your head, the rhythm and the note, see if you can alter that note. See if you can make the note go lower and back higher again, and lower and higher. But the rhythm is always there underneath. Let's imagine that for a moment. Okay, how was that for you? Was that quite difficult? Some people do find it very, very difficult to keep the two sounds going both at the same time. Maybe you heard one and then the other, and then the first one again and then the second one. More like a conversation, perhaps. Well, that's it for today, just a short one today. We've been thinking firstly about focusing in on sounds, the tiny sounds really getting closer and closer with your super hearing. And then also with your super hearing, you were able to change the sounds that the animals were making. And then lastly, we tried to create two sounds in our head and keep them both going at once. I've written some more exercises and games like that, and I'm going to put links to them in the information below the video so that you can have some more ideas to follow up for yourself if you want to. And the next video is going to be a sound story called The Alien Sound Scan. I hope you'll join me for it. Bye.